Okay, so let's continue with our uh, Git series. And in the Git series, we were looking to the GitHub Actions workflow. So in this video, we will cover like expressions, basically if success, if failure, if cancelled, right? And there are a few more. So if always, if success, if failure. But before that, we will see like why we need to look into this expression. So till now what we have covered, so we have covered till 5 videos. In first video we have covered the basic workflow, so how the workflow, so like if someone has to write the workflow from the scratch, so how that person can write. So what the name, run name, so on is the event, so workflow dispatch is the manual event, then we can write the job. So like in this workflow there is only one job and this job has multiple steps. So if we want to run our own script, then we can use run. If we want to use some inbuilt action, then we can use uses. If we want to run multiple command, then we have to use the pipe symbol, right? So this thing we did. And then in the next video we have covered variables, how we can access the variable and how we can define the repository variable. So we have covered that, how we can define the global variable, how we can define the job level variable, how we can define the step level variable as well. Then we did the environment variable. So and environment variables means same variable, but the value is different for all the different environments. So for the dev, for the QA, and for the prod, so we created three environment: dev, QA, prod. And to access that, so we define the environment section here. And then we covered a few more like inbuilt actions which are very useful. One is the upload. So how to upload the artifact. So we write some test and we generate some report and we upload it. Then we see the download artifacts. So the download artifact is also like useful sometimes, right? So we also cover that. So we in this video, so we are going to look at the expression. So let's create another file, expressions status check, and it should be YAML file. Okay. So before expression, like why we are going to cover, I am just copying paste all this code which we did in a run test. So Control A, Control C, and Control V. Let me just rename it to 6 expression status check. Right. So in this, like we have one job, which is the unit test, which is like checking out my repository, basically do git clone and then setting up the Python 3.11 will be installed. Then all the dependency will be installed. Then it is going to run the pytest command and it is going to generate the report. Then this report is going to upload into my artifact, right? So into my GitHub artifacts. All right. So we did that. But so we write some of our test cases. So let's go to the test and let's make some test failed. So force failed this test. So let's make it one. And now let's try that. What is going to be happen? Git status, git add, git commit minus one, add expression status workflow, git push. So we push that. Let's try to execute it. So go to the actions tab. Now we could see our workflow expression status check. So as this is set as workflow dispatch, which means we need to manually trigger. So come on to the run workflow and click on the run workflow. Then refresh it. We will see the workflow has been started. Now we have only one job, which is unit test, but it has multiple steps. It is checking out the repository which is completed. It is then setting up the Python, then installing the dependency. All right. Then it is going to run the test. It is going to run the test. So you could see the test failed because we forcefully failed the test, which is perfectly fine. But after that, this step, the next step is going to skipped. Store the HTML report to artifact. So this step is going to be skipped. But generally it doesn't matter whether whether the test is going to be failed, right? Or whether the test is going to be passed, right? We need the report. Either it's failure report, either it's a successful report, we need the report. So if this step is going to be fail, then this step is not getting executed. But we want this step should be executed. All right. So we want this step should be executed. So we can put the condition if always. So currently, like there are so many condition, like why we have to use always, why we have to use, and there is a warning as well. We are going to cover that as well. All right. So we see like, okay, let me go here. So we mentioned if always. If always means doesn't matter whether the previous any of the step is going to fail. Doesn't matter. This step is always going to be run. This step is always going to be run. All right. So if always, so now what will happen? This step is going to be failed. We know because we have forcefully failed, but this is going to be run. But this is going to be run. Let's see. No, sorry. This step is currently failing. PyTest is failing. So we need a report should be uploaded. We need report should be uploaded. So because PyTest is failing, not the install step is failing. PyTest is failing, and this step is not running. So let me show you again. So run test and generate HTML report failed, and this step is not running. Store the HTML and store the HTML is not running, and we want this step should run. So we put some condition if always. If always means doesn't matter whether the previous step is going to be failed or not, or whether it's success or whether it's failure. This step is going to be always executed. So let's try that. Put if always condition. Git push. And let me show you that as well. So currently we run this, and if you see no artifacts created, I could not see any artifact folder here. Right. So now because that step did not run, so if that step did not run, then artifact is not going to be created. So let's see what will happen now. So we have only one job unit test, and it has multiple steps: checking out the repository, setting up the Python, installing the dependencies, and then it is going to run the test. So test is going to fail, which is fine. See, now the test is going to fail, which is fine, but this step runs. This step runs. So now if I go to the again to the actions and go to here, so this is my run. And if I scroll down, you could see artifacts is available now. So if I open this, and we can download our artifacts, and then we can see, okay, which test is going to fail, or if even if we want to share the some error report with someone else. All right. Because non-technical person will not going to come here and see, okay, what is this, what is that, right? So it's very difficult in the black screen. So better we can share the HTML report with them. All right. Store the HTML reports to the articles. But there is a one problem here. What the problem is? Let me rerun the test again. Let me rerun the test again. So run workflow, and refresh it. So now my workflow has been started. So I will cancel my workflow as soon as my first job is going to be started. So let me cancel the workflow. So I cancel the workflow. So my like this step is running, install dependency, and I cancel my workflow. So your workflow has been canceled, right? So this step did not run. So if I cancelled my dependencies, so if I cancel my workflow, so test did not run. So if test did not run, then it should not generate the report. It should not generate the report, right? And even it's giving the warning, no files will be generated. But because we have mentioned if always, always means, so even if you come here, you could see always. So even when cancelled, even if you cancelled your like workflow, this step is always going to be executed. This step is always going to be executed. All right. So that is a problem. That is a problem. We can also use this condition. There could be some, let's suppose, email notification step. So we want that email notification should always send some notification. It doesn't matter whether any of the step is going to fail or not. We will get some status. All right. So what we can do? So we see, okay, if we use always, doesn't matter whether this step is going to be run or not, but this step is always going to be executed. Like in this case, we cancel that workflow. So what we can use? So because if we use just success, then success doesn't matter, right? Because if the previous step is has success, then why should I mention this condition? Anyhow, this is going to be like run, right? So what I can do is, because if always, always consists of three conditions: success, failure, and cancelled, and cancelled. So we said this step, this step should not be run if we cancel the workflow. So just remove this cancelled. That's it. So if success or failure, which means even if this step is going to be run successfully, it means we are going to generate some all passing report, or there could be some failure, there's some test failure, doesn't matter. Report should always get uploaded. All right. So if success or if failure, let's see what will happen now. Add if success and if failure. Git push. So that is done. And now we can come to the actions. So let's first trigger the workflow without canceling it. So our job has been started. Now, what, because our test is going to be failed. We know our test is going to be, but we want to see whether the report is getting uploaded or not. Because this time we don't have the if always, we have the if success or if failure. So test failed. Yes, test failed, but report is generated. Report is generated and it is getting uploaded. So let's see whether it's uploaded or not. So, and yes, it's uploaded, right? So artifact is there. Okay, let's rerun one more time. And this time I am going to cancel my workflow as soon as I will restart. So run the workflow and so let me just come into the setting of the workflow. Okay, let me cancel it. So I cancelled it. As soon as it come to the install dependency, I have cancelled it. So now my test is not going to be run. Now I have to see whether this step is going to be run or not. Ideally, this should not be run. All right. So you could see this step did not run. This step did not run because instead of if always, always means doesn't matter whether you cancel or not. We have put if success or failure. So previous step is neither success, neither failure. So it means this is not going to be run because previous step even did not get executed, right? We have canceled that workflow. All right. So these are some expressions which are very useful in day-to-day life. Right. So if always, which is one, if cancelled, if failure, and if success, like which we covered. Or if you don't want to use, like if you think, okay, this is very complicated, right? So if success or if failure, then what you can do is if not equal to cancelled. So if not equal to cancelled, you could see if not equal to cancelled. You can use that as well. If not equal to cancelled. So if previous step is not cancelled means like success or like failure. Let's see whether it's going to be run or not. Did not cancelled. Git push. Let's come here. So first I am going to run it normally. So there is some problem. There is some problem. And let's see what the problem is. So you could see unexpected tag not equal to in like cancelled. So I believe because this is special character, so it will come into quotes. Let's try. And let's see, run the workflow. So yes, it started. So we will see. So now we want, because the previous step is going to fail, so which is not cancelled. So our report should be getting uploaded, right? So let's see. So now running the test. Currently, yeah, running the test. So test is going to fail, and it should generate the report. Yeah, report has been generated. Now let's try one more time. The whole job will you see like the error because one step is failing, which is fine. Let's run it one more time, and this time I'm going to cancel the workflow. So click on it, click on the unit test, and as soon as like one or two step getting started, I will cancel the workflow. So cancel the workflow. So I cancel the workflow. So if I cancel the workflow, then store the HTML report should not uploaded, which is perfectly fine because our condition is if not cancelled, then only this step is going to be run. But we have cancelled, so this step did not going to be run. So these are the few expressions which are like very useful. And and one more thing, currently I am using this on the step level, right? So I am generally using on the step level because we have mentioned cancelled, or we have mentioned if always, we have mentioned if success, if always, if success, if failure, right? So if failure means it will going to check any of the previous steps, any of the doesn't it, it is not going to check only the previous step. Sorry, it is not going to only check the previous step, it could be any of the step. So let's suppose I mentioned if failure. All right, so if failure, so I said if failure, then this step is going to be run. All right, so if any of the step is going to be fail, and then this step is always going to be run. So generally, we can use this expression on the step level, but generally this condition is used on the job level. So currently we have only one job, that is the unit test. Let's suppose we have two jobs, build and then unit test and then deploy. So we want whether the build is going to fail or pass, doesn't matter. Our test should be run. Let's suppose we want. So on the job level, so here we can mention always, if always on the job level. So let's put this is the second job. This is the first job which doesn't like any meaning here. All right. So I have used on the step level, but you can use on the job level as well. Mainly this expression used on the job level. I think it is mentioned here as well. Even when the job is cancelled, okay, the job is cancelled. You want to run a job regardless of the condition, okay, okay. Failure. See, returns true when any previous step of a job fails. Any previous step. See, any previous step, it is not going to check only the previous step, it is any previous step is going to fail. So you can use at both the conditions, like the step level or the job level. So that's it, that's the end of the video. So yeah, thank you.